Imagine the following scenario. You message your crush, your situationship, someone you want the approval of, and then no matter what the message is, you stare at your phone for a little while, it arrives, they are online, but they go offline without reading the message. All of a sudden, you feel a sense of dread washing over you. You realize, is it something I said? Did I say something wrong? Don't they like me anymore? Are they purposely ignoring me? What games are they playing? It consumes your mind. How do you feel? Later, you check the message's status to see whether it has been read, and you find that it has been read but no response. If there was ever any doubt that might have existed in your mind after hours and hours of restless stirring, by now you are definitely worried that something is wrong. It becomes harder and harder to control the anxiety. All of these doom scenarios start playing in the back of your head. Maybe they have lost interest, maybe you were the Lulu all along, maybe there are other girls in the picture. So what can we do to fix it? Well, let's try the tried and true method of going back to a TikTok tower reading to tell us that in the next 72 hours, because of a tower moment, they'll make their triumphant return if we just claim the message. I say that, but I am not much better, because what I do is just double text to make sure that there is nothing wrong. But if someone is intent on ignoring you or feeling guilty because of the ignoring in the first place, you might never get a response and feel worse about it afterwards. And you might have noticed by now that on this issue I speak with very ample personal experience. And it is exhausting, because it might make you unwilling to open up to someone or reject them first because you are afraid that they might reject you later anyways. After having intense involuntary exposure therapy to this particular type of anxiety about being left on red, I'm trying to learn better how to make sure that I don't get as anxious in the future, and if that's something you could learn from as well, this is the video for you. The key to preventing the anxiety is to be secure in your connection. But that is easier said than done, because in the current dating scene it seems that it is all about a low investment, slow trickle of subtle signs of interest with very little progress that add up ultimately, where you might trick the other person in having the conversation, what are we, where they have to either choose you or go away. This way especially, feeling safe and secure with someone will take a long time, and it can be destroyed within the span of a single conversation. Until you are in a committed relationship, you cannot expect the other person to overtly reassure you that you are safe with them. And so we will need to find that sense of security within ourselves by becoming more confident. Confidence in ourselves and our faith in our own desirability is difficult to get in a world where most often you get that validation from other people telling you that you are awesome. But there is a way to find the confidence in yourself. To get there, we would first need to reframe the interactions that we have with the other person and learn how to fight the doubts in our mind. Let's get into it in a way that I learned it recently. First, reframe our interactions. I'll speak about this from personal experience to help you understand. Over the last 9 or 10 months or so, I have been trying to get to know this amazing girl. At first, I thought she was too good to be true. And so, in order to progress our connection, I felt like I needed to impress her to keep her sticking around, interested in me. Over time, my self-worth became somewhat dependent on the status of this relationship, and if she were to be less interested, it felt like it was my duty to make it right, and it was my fault that it went wrong in the first place. Whenever she would leave me on red, and believe me, it happened regularly, intentional or not, I felt like I did something wrong and needed to change my approach going forward. And so a week or 2 weeks or a month later when we would talk like nothing happened. But inside of me something did happen. I felt like I couldn't be myself really, and so gradually my personality that she got to see shifted. I presented a version of myself that I thought she would like more because it would get responses from her more consistently. As I get back to on the channel many times, the problem here ultimately is hierarchy, because I felt she was above my level. I was lucky to have the chance to be with her, and therefore I needed to prove that I was worthy of her attention. There we have a problem, because how will you ever be able to create an equal partnership with someone you consider to be above you, where you present a version of yourself that is not real, or at least not representative? So first, our mentality has to change. Our crush is just a person, just like you, with whom you can vibe or not. If they don't like you, so be it, but there will be absolutely a lot of people that will like you for who you are. When I say you could vibe well together, how I always understand it is that it's like with vibrations. It's not going to be a high school physics lesson, but bear with me. You are vibing on your own frequency. You've got your own aesthetic. When someone matches that aesthetic exactly and have your own vibes, then you will vibe well together, make each other stronger. But it doesn't mean that everyone else is not going to vibe well with you. There are going to be set frequencies with whom you can vibe as well. So someone can have a very different life, very different aesthetics, and have a different view of life, but you might still vibe well together as long as you make each other stronger and resonate instead of making each other weaker. Confidence comes from knowing that it is not your job to get someone to like you. They either do or they don't. Some won't, but many will. So, if you're better than me at this, you are able to detach your view of yourself from whether the other person likes you or not. Doing that allows you to take a step back and think about whether you also like them, and not just that you might have fallen in love with the idea of them. It is all about staying in the moment. The more we worry about the future, we'll get anxiety. The more we start regretting the past, we'll become depressed. And both of them keep us from staying in the moment and experiencing the present. And secondly, fighting the doubts in your mind. To keep ourselves confident, we also need to be able to deal better with the inevitable times of weaknesses when doubts will pop back up again. The key to doing so is to have some trust in your connection. And now we have to establish that other person, if they care enough about you, they will tell you if something is going on and there's something wrong in the connection. If you can't trust that simple assumption, you don't really have a connection, because then you would have to doubt at every second of every day whether someone is not telling you something that's going on that might negatively influence your connection. This assumption comes from the idea that if you have another healthy connection, think of your parents maybe, we don't have to worry that if we argue with our parents that they are leaving us. We don't worry that they're ghosting us when they're not responding to our message à la minute. We just have to trust that everything's alright and they'll tell us if something's wrong. If we go back to the scenario that we started the video with, where you message your crush and they are coming online, they are going offline and haven't read your message, or even having read your message afterwards and not having responded yet, there are many good explanations that are not doom scenarios at all as to why they might not have responded at the moment you're looking at it. I want to contrast it with lots of self-help gurus and podcasts online where people are saying that because everyone has access on their phones at all times, 24 hours a day, if they don't respond to you on the same day in this many hours, they are making a conscious choice and you should just drop them. Or even the toxic sentiment that I am guilty of as well because of anxiety attachment sometimes. If I can respond immediately to them and make the effort, why don't they make the same effort for me? But this sentiment is wrong. On the one hand, a part of it is correct that yes, we have our phones on us at all times because it is a prerequisite of being part of modern society. But that does not mean that it is realistic to expect someone's attention to be available to you at all times. So let's get it to good examples why someone might not respond to you à la minute. Think about me messaging my crush. If I send a message during the day, there are many different good explanations of why she cannot respond. What if she is at work and she cannot be on her phone? Or she's in conversation with someone else? Or she is out with a friend and wants to be a good friend to be present with the friend? She can also be doing groceries. Or her social battery is depleted, because I have texted her a lot already, knowing that I tend to send long messages to have long conversations, and of course you might need to sit down and really think about what I said before you have the opportunity to respond adequately. There are lots of reasons that I understand why she might not have responded immediately. The thing is, it requires a sort of arrogance to assume that I would know exactly at whatever point she could potentially respond to me and is deliberately choosing not to. I am not a farseer after all. She also should not be expected to be fully available at my beck and call whenever I want her to. And even if she technically had the time to respond to me, I cannot make her respond to me whenever I want. And why would I even want to control her choices? What kind of relationship would I have if I can control whenever she decides to respond to me? Even if I look at my phone and I realize that she has read the message and not yet responded, there are still an infinite amount of good reasons why she might not have responded at the time that I'm looking at it. So imagine the following scenarios. What if she was traveling at the time and she cannot respond adequately to my message without creating a safety hazard, like walking? Or she has looked at the message during a boring moment of a conference call, but she's very much still at work. Maybe she accidentally clicked on it and she forgot she did so and so moved on with her life and forgot about responding to it. Or in her case, or maybe other neurodivergent people that are watching this video, hi, welcome to the club. Maybe she has just looked at it and then she got distracted by something because of her ADHD mind and forgot to get back to it. Or maybe she even thought that she had responded already but not actually responded. Or what I'm guilty of by typing long messages, maybe she just opened the message and she really looked at it, but she doesn't have the time at that moment to really think about it and respond, or maybe she just needs more time to respond to it, and so she'll get back to it later. Or maybe she's just looked at it and she wants to take the time later to have an actual conversation about it in real life. That happens too, and actually I think that is preferable. All in all, we need to trust that they are going to come back to us if they are willing and able to do so. If they don't get back to us, it is up to us to decide whether we decide to double text to just check because there could have been an honest mistake, or the scenarios that I pointed out earlier. But we also could take a step back and realize that their flakiness might be unattractive to us. Good people will make the effort to tell you when they are done. We should trust that they will do so. If they do decide to ghost you, they are genuinely cowardly, subhuman scum. I don't really think that's that much of a hot take. They are not worth your love, and therefore you should realize that it is their loss that they wasted the opportunity to be with you because you are amazing. That counts for you as well. Don't start playing mind games as revenge because they left you on red for a few hours and therefore you should give them a timeout of a week or so. We're not children here. In an eye for an eye, the entire world will be left blind. And we're better than that. Don't reduce yourself to their level. You want to be a mature person in a mature relationship and just move on. Don't build up the resentment and waste your precious energy. Maybe, just maybe, they might have even read the message wrong and didn't think that it required a response. This can happen quite a lot when you're just texting because there's no tone to actually convey the way that you're saying it. Especially men tend to have the curse of obliviousness here. The solution to bad communication is an open and honest attempt at direct and transparent communication to clear things up. And when you are in any doubt about all of this, you don't always know what's going on behind the scenes, but you will always know that you are worth loving. Well, there we have another one. This is the outro because this is the start of season 2. I have 16 scripts ready, which I will start rolling out over the next 16 weeks. I hope we can grow the channels together. So like and subscribe, comment down below what you thought. I always love these kinds of interactions and keep me going. And so refer it to your friends, help us grow, and so we'll get to the next video together.